It's BBC Radio Kent.
BBC Radio Kent.
Make a difference.
Right then, let's welcome to the show this afternoon the chairman and founder of the Charitable Football Club. Mark Pinkney joins us from just outside of Herne Bay. Hello, Mark. How are you?
Good afternoon, Pat. How are you?
Yeah, very good indeed. So let's talk a little about the club. It's been running since July of last year. What prompted you to set it up?
The idea behind the club was really to aid some charities out there. So we play monthly football matches to raise money for designated charities. So far, we've raised about £1,500, which is excellent. But we really wanted to make a difference to not only charities, but our local communities. And I think during the pandemic, there were lots of difficulties and people found it really, really tough. So it was more of a response to that to kind of get things moving for charities and local people.
And it's a non-for-profit organisation rather than a charity itself. What's the distinction there?
The distinction is that every penny that's raised through the fundraising goes directly to the charities. We're actually in the process of looking at whether we could become a community interest company, which would give us more scope to run more projects and things like Heading the Game. But it's really about where all the money goes.
Okay. Give us an idea of the sort of response it's had, because as we say, it's not been up and running for long, has it? What's the feedback been, Mark?
Yeah, the feedback's been fantastic. As you said at the beginning, we started in July 2020. We started off with one tweet and one Facebook message. Now we're in almost April of 2021. We've had some fantastic feedback. It's been organisations that have supported us, it's charities that supported us, and also there's a whole plethora of charity football clubs across the UK. It's an amazing community, and we've been welcomed in there with open arms. So we really have been very fortunate.
And you touched on the Heading the Game project. Tell us more about that. What do you aim to do with that?
Well, the Heading the Game project, it's CIC funded. And it kind of combines low-level mental health support with a beautiful game of football. So our plan is to have weekly sessions, starting off in Minster on the 12th of April. And what we want to do, we kind of want to put those two things together. So we kind of want people to start being active again, start looking after their emotional and physical and mental well-being, but kind of also engaging football in there, but also giving people the opportunity to talk. And one of the key things that we found during the pandemic is that men have found it difficult. And coming out of the pandemic and coming out of the lockdowns, there's going to be many challenges, whether that be lack of employment, debt, and we want to be there to kind of help our communities to start adjusting to that.
And what will you do? How will you help? How will you broach the subject?
So we're really fortunate that we've got three trained mental health specialists who play for the club, who have got professional experience of handling those types of scenarios and situations. So once we've played the football on the sessions, we will have a 20-25 minute period where we will sit down and we will just talk. So it's nothing more complicated than that. It's just giving men the opportunity to talk about how they're feeling, talk about any problems or any difficulties they're having in their life. And it's that really important phase of giving people that opportunity to talk in a safe and comfortable environment.
And is that going to take a little time? Because, as you say and identify, men don't usually talk. We're not as open as we could be, are we?
That's 100% correct. And again, it'd be very, very unusual for you to, walk into a pub and find a group of 10 men sitting there talking about their feelings. In reality, that just doesn't happen. So, we're very aware that it probably will take a little bit of time, but that's where the football side comes in. So if we can use the power of football to encourage people to come along and play, we want that talking mentality to become a second nature to people.
And what sort of ages are you looking at?
So we're looking at men between the ages of 25 and 55. The reason why we've looked at that age group is that's the most vulnerable age group when it comes to men who sadly take their own lives. The stats and the figures for that are quite alarming, and certainly in Kent and across the whole of the UK, those numbers have been rising progressively over the last few years. So as a club, and as a group of men ourselves, we just didn't feel comfortable around sitting around and doing nothing about that.
And the project, as you say, will start in April, primarily serving those in East Kent. Why have you chosen to target that particular part of the county?
Couple of reasons. First one being we really wanted to choose an area that we knew well. So we're kind of based around that area. So a lot of the squad and a lot of the team live in sort of Whitstable, Herne Bay, Canterbury and Thanet. But secondly, Thanet is one of the places that has a high level of mental health need. There are lots of services and dedicated charities who work in that area. So for us, it was just kind of putting those two things together. And as I say, we're going to start in Minster. There's good travel links there for people to be able to actually get to the sessions. So yeah, those were the main reasons of kind of looking at Thanet.
Okay, and it's worth pointing out it's Minster in Thanet, isn't it? Because
correct.
There's
Yeah,
a few
that's right.
Minsters, yeah. Right. Okay then. Can men who recognise that they have a problem self-refer to your service? How does it work? Do they just turn up?
No. So we have a website, which I'll give you now, which is www.headinthegame.co.uk. All of the information about the project and everything that we're doing is on there. And there's a self-referral page where people can go on there. Very, very basic, very straightforward, just sort of name and address and contact details. Once they're registered, they can come along, and they can come along for as long as they wish. This is not a project that's going to be wrapped up in a few months and sort of just disappears. This is a long-term project and something that we as a club would love to replicate in other areas of Kent. We've been really, really fortunate that we've had some support from local non-league football teams across Kent, and we're currently in discussions with them about whether we can roll this project out in some other geographical venues as well.
Well, that would be fantastic, because there's obviously a huge demand for this.
Definitely. Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. And, like I said at the beginning, the club itself has only been going for a short period of time. The project itself has only been advertised for 3 or 4 weeks. And, we've been inundated with phone calls and emails from interested parties, but also some really nice well-wishers from the Thanet community who have sort of said, is it okay for us to pass these details on amongst the social groups that we move in, and of course we've welcomed that with open arms.
And the other thing is the KCC are supporting this. How important is that to you, then, Mark?
Absolutely vital. Absolutely vital. I mean, it's part of the KCC Community Fund. We put in a bid back in December. We were fortunate enough to be accepted and for the funding to be approved. Without their support, we quite simply wouldn't have this project. So we're really, really grateful to KCC for approving our project. And you're in partnership, aren't you, with Talk Club? Tell us about that. Yeah, so Talk Club is a fantastic initiative. It's founded by a gentleman by the name of Ben Akers, who did a lot of work in Thanet. One of his best friends, very sadly, committed suicide a few years ago, which prompted him to make a film called Steve, which was very, very poignant and very, very touching. And on watching Steve, we kind of felt that was the type of model that we wanted to follow. The Talk Club is fantastic, and as it suggests, it's a men's talking club that just allows people to sit, to talk, to be honest about how they're feeling, but with that real kind of group mentality where no one feels as if they can't have their opportunities to speak. So to be working with Talk Club is an absolute honour and something that we're really, really proud of. Yeah, and we're all individuals and we've all got our own, wars to fight, haven't we? So if people instinctively don't feel as if they want to open up, early on during the process, that is okay as well, is it? Absolutely fine. No one is under any pressure to talk if they don't want to. And one of the things that we put is actually on the website. We've kind of got like a code of conduct that we're gonna ask people to have a look at before they join. And one of the key things on there is that we do say no one is under any duress to talk if they don't want to. Just to have men coming together to play football and to be part of a group and to be part of a project like this, for some will just be enough. So yeah, there's no pressure on anyone to talk if they don't want to. And that brings us to the big question, Mark. What sort of standard of football player do you need to be? Any standard at all. If anyone's ever seen me play football, they will know that my standard is very, very low. So far, we've had referrals from people who are kind of 26, 27, right the way up until sort of people into their 50s, which is great. So yeah, it's not the World Cup final. We're not going to be pushing people to their absolute limits. It's, as I say, it's more about the they're coming together of men having the opportunity to talk. So yeah, if anyone out there just wants to get back into playing and they feel like this would be a good way to do it.
Okay, and just remind us again of the website, if you would.
It's www.headinthegame.co.uk.
Great to talk to you this afternoon, Mark. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Pat.
Make a difference.
BBC Radio Kent.